Yes, here we go, the T.N.F. It's a wee bit of an earlier time than we used to do it, but it's been quite often on at a 7 p.m. kickoff of late. Changed the lineup up a wee bit. We got the judge on last night because the judge is one of those, he's an extremely popular guest. And I think it quite often works better for the judge's opinions to be given that sort of platform when it's a one-on-one environment. So I thought last night, with all that's been happening in the past week, we'll get him on one-on-one, give him the Thursday night off, and bring in some quality replacements. And one in Canada, one hopefully on the same planet as us. Liam, how are you, mate?
Good, mate. Planet Earth.
Connor, what's happening, mate? You know I can't help it, mate. You can't help it.
Sorry, don't worry. I'm just in the Coca-Cola tonight, minus the vodka, so we're all good.
Top man. Well, there's been plenty for you to be ranting about, obviously, from what we've seen for Celtic at the weekend. Then as the weeks went on, just more and more frustration. Linked with another 20-year-old today. I don't know if you've seen that, based in Sweden, for playing for a team that Aberdeen pumped, I'm sure. We can get into all that. But remember, the T.N.F. is the night that we hand over the keys to use. And if you want to get your points into us, then we're happy for that, just to guide the whole hour that we'll be live for. Any questions you've got, preferably Celtic related, don't challenge me too much. So if you bring up other stuff, I probably will stuck into that as well. But yes, predominantly we're hoping that the points people want to raise are going to be Celtic related, and we will do our best to chew the fat over them. We'll quickly get all that good stuff done. You know, I hate this bit. It's just not me. But, you know, like, share, slag the hair. I had a haircut, actually. So you can slag the haircut as well as the hair. If you want to become a Policy Bus member, like so Jim C, Jim Dolan, Ian McIntosh, Danish Machine, hope I'm pronouncing that right, mate, San Fran Celtic, so many more of you. It's $1.99 a month. It helps keep the wheels on the road. The content will always be free. There's another member just jumping in there right at the end. Scott Howe. Good to see you all. Didn't Hacken beat Aberdeen? Shows you what I know, mate. You're probably right, Condos. But yes, we will get stuck in. Piesports.com, remember, as well, if you want to get stuck into a pie over the festive period. Remember, all you have to do is go there to their website. Some incredible selection of pies that they've got, and they are amazing. We can all vouch for that. Well, apart from you, Liam, but I know you're enviously looking on. And they're 12.5% discount you will get by using Bus 1888 at the checkout. Shell Ticks just arrived as well. Good to have you on, Shell. It's not really need to keep the interaction up. I like going through all the passengers that come on. It's good. Harley, things have got that bad. Even Boise stopped winning Celtic strips. I buy, fuck it, honestly. I've got an addiction right now. I'm going through, Liam, right? You obviously, you know, like the sort of retro clothes and all that stuff. I think sometimes, to be honest, Celtic fans, there's always sirens going off outside your house, mate. They'll catch you one day, but not tonight. Don't worry, mate. It's all good. I like all the retro sort of clothes in general, but now I've never not got on order a retro top at any given time. I've always got one that I'm waiting on. It feels like my life is empty if I ever get to the stage where I've got none pending arrival. They do take like 4 to 6 weeks to come from that DHgate. But like, I can't have my life like without one in the pipeline coming. I just hope I can get out of the spiral soon because it's getting out of hand. But the Arsenal top doesn't mean anything. It's just, you know, it's just a top that I thought was pretty cool when I seen it. It took me back, bit nostalgia. But yeah, I still support Celtic.
I just found 2 retro tops in a drawer.
Did you?
Yeah, 2008 or 2006.
Right.
Cameroon tops, home and away. Cameroon, the one with the indomitable lions with the slashes on the side.
Oh, wow.
The original kit was a one-piece with the shorts and the... Don't know if you remember, but FIFA weren't going to let them wear it, and so they had to bring out another one last minute that was just the jersey. And I was working with Puma at the time. Right. Snagged 2, and my son just found them the other day and showed them to me. I like that cracking kit. It's green and yellow. Oh, yeah. One is yellow, Cameroon.
Oh, brilliant. I love that. So if you are listening, yes, we are obviously talking about describing the Cameroon strip. I mean, they'll two-toned Arsenal top. I think it was 93, 94. You even born then, Connor? No?
No, I was born 97, mate. So
Fucking amazing, that.
I know.
Amazing.
I've had a rough paper around and I've got a face like a wanted poster, but I'm I'm alright.
A face like a wanted poster. Everyone seems to be in a better mood in the live chat so far, so that's a good thing. We'll probably have them by the next hour pulling their hair out and absolutely feeling despair all over again. Tattoo Face is at it though again. He's gifted 5 Boise Bus memberships out already. Very, very kind, mate. Every time you come on, so generous. We really appreciate it. I'm sure those who receive a membership will as well. Anyway, let's talk Celtic. Liam, I've not had your thoughts since the weekend. Don't we go over old ground too much? But what I would like to do is get where your thoughts are up to now Thursday evening, based on, obviously, let's say the beginning of the story is Saturday afternoon, and where you're at this junction in the story, if you like, this chapter of it by Thursday evening, and how you're feeling as a fan.
My God, I mean, it's like nothing like just grabbing defeat for the jaws of victory. To watch how flimsy this club is built, like it's a house of cards. I feel like we're at the point right now, nearly where we were when we had to get rid of Neil Lennon, and we had John Kennedy looking after the team. And I still feel there's just so many questions that need asked, because there's so many things that people have identified a year or two ago that have not been addressed. And it's just a crazy sort of deja vu that we're going through. That, my God, how many times have I been through this now? And just like the Champions League, where I was able to just sort of put my emotions aside this year and go, you know what, if it's on, I'm going to watch it. I'll enjoy it, if it's there, but I'm not investing myself emotionally in it. It's getting to that way with the club. I feel like they're purposely trying to drive fans away. And, I don't know why the intent is. And it's like, for me, it's just an aloofness. And it's like, I've never seen a board so much not in touch with their fans. Crazy. And so you could see, like, even watching that game against Hearts, I knew in the second half we weren't going to win that. You could tell in the first half. I mean, I watched Greg Taylor took on the Modric role at one point, where he was showing up on the right wing, and then the boys.
And ladies and gentlemen, it's 8 minutes 11 seconds. If you had 8 minutes 11 seconds for Greg Taylor's name to come up on Greg Taylor Bingo with Liam, roll up and collect your prize. Sorry, Liam. Sorry.
It's. I told you it's an obsession, but I look at that as that's an example for me. Is like you can put everything that's what's wrong with the club right now in the fact if Greg Taylor's playing or not. I watched Callum Day in the speech after, and it's like, no, everybody looked like they were totally engaged in what Callum was saying. But there was Greg Taylor as like vice captain or whatever he is right now, storming right before, getting at this. And it's like, mate, you're the biggest culprit. You need to get your head down and start working on this, like, biggest mouth in the change room and all that. It's funny, the two biggest mouths in the change room, Alistair and Greg Taylor, seem to be the ones that can't fucking play in the park. And that's it. We've got an awful lot of mouthy people in this team now. And that comes through the board right down. It's like people telling you what a great job they do. Crazy. And they don't do a good job, because as soon as you put it under scrutiny. Anyway, so this whole week, it's like an old wound just opening up again this week. That's what it felt like. And, and you can see how the fans are disappointed. You can see just the stuff that keeps accumulating, stuff with the Green Brigade, stuff with like Tunnage and Jota or whatever. All these things right now, when we're going to get a positive spin, And that's why it's John Kennedy going to sign a new contract. Are they going to make that a positive thing? David Turnbull, when he signs a new contract, that will be a positive. I mean, just as a board, it's so out of touch with the fans that it's just been a week of like, fuck, Celtic again,
Celtic again. I like that. I like that. Connor, this is the thing. What happens when you get terrible results? Let's be abundantly clear on what happened at the weekend. 2 defeats in a row as well. That meant in the league. What it does is it either refocuses some people. Some people remain focused, and others it brings to their attention for the first time in a couple of years, if ever, that something ain't right, not just with the team. And I think that's been an overriding feeling. I've been shocked but understanding, if that makes sense, to the debate that slowly started picking up about focusing on the manager. I also think there's a massive now sort of look. The majority still for me are now really laser focused on the board that Liam's referring to there, and their conduct and how caught in the past that they are, and how out of touch, as he rightfully points out, they seem to be with the fan base, and how unwilling they are to let Celtic breathe and become a bigger version of what they are right now, and how almost scared they almost are of taking that next step, taking that what they perceive every next step to be as a massive life or death gamble, I feel. But I think they dress it up as that to put the fear into the more mellow minded, the less maybe business background, some fans as well, who look at it and go, well, if they're shitting it, then maybe there's a reason for that, and maybe we should be panicking. And I think they play on that a hell of an awful lot, Connor. But boy, oh boy, if we're not then getting the results on the park, all their failings or all their lack of proactivity, not reactivity, which we'll see inevitably in January in the form of some loan signing for the EPL, but their lack of proactivity all comes in to real focus as well. That's what the price is when you don't strengthen that first team and you end up with 2 defeats in a row. That's where we end up looking at all the reasons for it, not just the players in the park, not just the scoreline, but all facets of the club. And rightfully so, in my opinion.
Aye, it's as they're very much under a microscope now, with their regards to their failings and their conduct as a board in general. But let's not be, naive. This rot has been within the club for decades now. It's really not how this club should be ran. We've got one of the longest serving boards, I think, in British football. I think it might be the longest serving board. They tend to, well-run football clubs tend to change things around regularly, at the top, and have new investors, new owners, blah, 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 change up the board members. We don't do that. We, in fact, let them go away and let them come back a year later if they were ever gone, and then, there's their son coming in to the club along with the bargain. It's nepotism at its finest. I really don't understand why a lot of people, and everybody's kind of guilty of it, as soon as results start going our way, we're winning trebles, we're pumping the Huns, but people they take their eyes off it, and I don't get it. There's the people who are out there are but we love this club and we want what's best for it, but as soon as they're invited in for press conferences and to have a prawn sandwich, and they're just sitting there asking their wee stupid questions, wanking their fucking Brendan's new Gucci belt and that, asking them what his favourite flavour ice cream is or whatever, just all this random stuff that nobody should ever. It does nothing. It gives no one any information. It doesn't help anybody feel connected to the club or get information about what's going on behind the scenes. People were more than happy just to toe the party line as long as they were getting something out of it at the end of it, and the results were going our way, without looking what's underneath the surface. And the fact is we've still got an infestation of absolute charlatans running this club and running it into the fucking ground. Now, we can say that, we're still clearing the league and we're still, got millions in the bank. It's only going to last so long if you don't spend it. It's really concerning that, as far we've been discussing this over the past couple of weeks, and it seems like nothing is going to change anytime soon, at least not for the foreseeable future. I don't even think this time in 10 years, I think we'll still be stuck with them. I really do. I don't think anything will have changed, really, besides, maybe their grand wains coming in as well. It's really bizarre, and it really infuriates me that we are just allowing this to happen now. I was calling for boycotts and protests and all the rest of it, and I still think we should. And the reason why I think that the Green Brigade might not be allowed, there's rumours now tonight, I've seen it before we came on, that they might be back this weekend. We'll see if that holds up, considering 4 hours ago there was a fake email cutting about Twitter that they were having their season tickets revoked. But I as soon as the Green Brigade are back in, you can almost guarantee that if it's not the game against Rangers that they're back in for, that'll be the first game back, or if it's a normal league game, their first kind of tifo or something or demonstration will be aimed at that board. And you know for a fact that the board don't like any kind of abrasion or any kind of fight against them, and they would rather just have us have an absolute dead atmosphere, no nobody backing up the players, nobody spurring them on, and essentially watch our league title hopes crumble before our very eyes, rather than admit that what they've done is wrong, and the way that they've gone about everything this season is so inept that it's incredible. It's really, really concerning me that this does not seem to be going away anytime soon. We're getting links on Twitter for players, articles coming out, and they look like more project signings. Like Brendan was talking about wanting power and possibly a stronger person in the midfield. Who are we targeting? A 20-year-old who's 5'7" and built like the side of a twiglet, and that's not what we need. I really don't understand where we're going. It's really upsetting because we thought that when Ange came in, right, he was the surgeon essentially to start cutting away at the rot that was in the club. He was getting backed. He was bringing an exciting, attractive brand of football. And while we weren't getting results in Europe necessarily, we were seeing some progress as to what we might be able to achieve in 1-2 seasons with him having more money to spend, more transfer windows, da-da-da-da. He's starting to cut away at the rot and operate on the club. Then a patient with bigger money down south and is like, there's something wrong with me. We're going through a bit of a tough time. Can you come and work on us? And they're like, cool, he's went away, fucked off, whatever. And Brendan's came back in, but, he's, instead of bringing these tools to do the job, he's brought in the wee plastic doctor's playset you used to get when you were 4-year-old. And it's really not working right now. And I really don't know where else we can go from here, because as far as I'm concerned, it all kind of just seems hopeless at the minute, unless by the grace of God, Brendan was given a wad of cash to spend in January, and let's be real, that's never going to happen.
Well, it's interesting, Liam, isn't it? Because, see, at the end of the day, if I think I've seen a lot of cries on the old Twitter for a united front, and we're better when we're a united front. The problem with that is, let's say that's true, and that works. You're kicking the ultimate can down the road, in my opinion. And that is facing up to the fact that you're going to become more and more Groundhog Day FC. And that will be, if we all put on the united front, we get behind the manager, we get behind the team, we get behind the new players, that they will inevitably, I think, in January, improve the quality of Liam, right? I don't think they'll bring in loads, but I think there'll be a token one or two. Might just be 5-month loans, by the way. That wouldn't surprise me either. But I think there'll be one or two that you'll go, okay, better shut up. We need to get behind this lot because they're putting up a challenge across the city. All right, so we do that. Let's say we come out the season, we do win the league again. What grounds have you got then to chase out that board? And so again begins the cycle. So then begins next season, where we'll bring in these players that, forever it is, it doesn't seem like a football guy to me that's recommending them. It seems like someone who's looking at potential profit of all of them. And if one strikes gold, it covers the fee of the rest. That's how it looks to me anyway, from a very basic point of view. They would do that again if they somehow manage to stumble along in this league and we all do a united front. Because then, for us to then start protesting or wanting the board out ultimately in the summer, once we got the league win we needed, look, we got the Tina, it would look ridiculous. It wouldn't carry much clout. So we're in this constant cycle. It's Groundhog Day, mate, because without change at the top, I think we are in domestic bliss territory forever, and our European pedigree, reputation continues to fade. And we thank, whether people like this or not, the other side for keeping that coefficient up particularly over the last few years, and thankfully our domestic bliss and their bottling nature domestically and their overachieving in Europe has really helped us massively in terms of being able to get automatic group qualification. Because without the automatic group qualification for the Champions League, I think we'd have been looking at 5 years, pal. 5-6 years of no Champions League football. Because I don't back the operation that is in place right now to ever strengthen a side enough to navigate playoffs. It's Groundhog Day Football Club right now.
I'm surprised Near Beaton hasn't came back yet. I mean, that seems to be the nation of this board. You know, it's a psyop. It's funny, you know, it's like they're the only ones that tell you what a great job they're doing. And it's a poison chalice as well, because anytime you want to put up an argument of how bad the board is doing, they'll just show you the bank balance and they'll show you the trophy room. And again, the optics of that, you look like a successful club. But just because you're getting the best dog food every day doesn't mean you don't want a steak now and again. Well, look at all the dog food we gave you. We've given you the best stuff, you know. I
love that. Great point.
We want steak now because you know what? The problem with this board is you've got a bunch of toffs sitting up there that want to manage people's expectations. They want to manage people's dreams. They want to show you where the ceiling is. And that's their fucking ceiling. And you look at them, they've got a bunch of accountants. They harm against accountants. But anytime you say a kid, you know, what's the most unimaginative job you could probably have? Oh, an accountant. What's a boring job? An accountant. And we've got these people that are in charge of the vision of our club, and they're telling us to trust them. People that can only make sense of black and white and ledgers and numerical stuff like that. They don't know how to imagine. They don't know how to create. They've never created companies. They've only been able to calculate how much money the company made. And so for their expectations of success, I dream big. And my whole life, I've never put a ceiling on myself for anything I've tried to do. I'm not saying I've done a lot of that, but, you know, and maybe it was because I left Scotland really early.
You're right though, mate. No, you're spot on, Liam. You've tried things that are very adventurous. Obviously, you've been director. You've done, you know, loads of involvement in film and art. Push boundaries that people that are straight-laced, they would look at and go, "You can't do that. That's far too much risk without any sort of baseline reward." Unless you get the real rewards, which will be obviously up there, but that'd be too much of a risk for a lot of these people. They're not creative enough. You're absolutely spot on to highlight that, mate.
Well, see, the reward of that is knowing fridge magnet wisdom and stuff like the destination and all that. Not the destination's being able to think creatively and live a creative life and do that. And I look at anybody, like when I washed dishes in a fucking cafeteria when I was a teenager, I was a Zen dishwasher. I was like doing it. There was all sorts of stuff going on. So you put stuff into it. The board right now that managing the vision of Celtic, I don't know. I'm sure they're Celtic. The people they sit with at games are a lot different than I sit with at games. You know, they're sitting with Rod Stewart and, you know, like their investment people and that. And it's not fucking guys that own housing developments and stuff like that. And I don't know. It just doesn't seem to be. This is a board that they can get you so far, and they can take it up to a point where they can measure and they can show you a balance sheet, but they can't show you the emotional sort of side of what they've done. And it fails them because right now they're not managing the same ambitions as us. But I know I've got an idea how to combat that, how to combat this board. Like, we've all talked a lot about. We've all identified the problem. Connor's got it. Mark's got it. We know what this board is, but we also know what they don't like, and they don't like communication, and they don't like communication because they're vulnerable, and that vulnerability is because they don't like scrutiny. They don't like to be, you know, like put it out what you're doing, what they're doing. They can make it look good on a ledger as accountants. But if we were to actually start doing a campaign and then actually putting a value onto what the board does, the amount of money that they get paid, you know, and what they've done in return, you could start creating a catalogue, an archive of just like how fractured and how how much money they've really lost. Because you can look and say, yeah, you've got this much money, but we could have been light years ahead. We could have been in a different planet. We could have been a much global brand.
Spot on.
They are. And by the way, they started, and give you a baseball term, they started on third base. They didn't start like building a brand from nothing. They took a brand that had 100 years history, European Cup success, a band that was like recognised by just not even a club badge, just by the hoops on the jersey, worldwide, and fucked that up. Fucked that up. I mean, unbelievable. And so I think what you got to do is you guys throw some light on what the board is doing. Fucking rats. Rats hate it when you turn a light on, because then you can see them. And so right now I think we got to start doing is like, okay, as fans, let's start just looking and digging into what they do, how they're doing it, and what their success is, and how that's showcased, what the optics of that success in different terms, other than just a bank balance and a trophy room. Where could we really be without them? And it just means digging. You know, Mike Nicholson, okay, what have you actually done? How did you get there? Who helped you? You know, what was the one thing that you can stand out and say that you've done, that you made a difference in Celtic that's positive? Same with Lawo as well. You know, his son's in a job because we had to buy into this belief that Peter Lawo is some sort of great negotiator. I went on the wiki page I was wondering how old he was. He's only 2 years older than me, Peter Lawo. And I was like, fuck's sake. And I was looking at his wiki page, and one of the things was, under his things, he's well known throughout the football world as a very shrewd negotiator. Shrewd negotiator? It's a guy, we lost a league because he wouldn't pay extra money for Stephen Fletcher. Shrewd negotiator. Joe playing with Aston Villa. That's shrewd negotiator. Getting rid of Giamakis and Juranovic for like about fucking £8 million. When then, you know, there's, again, the shrewd negotiator. How could we not get a better price for Starfelt? You know, these line up. Those aren't shrewd negotiations.
Totally agree with this.
Cashing a check because a Saudi Arabian millionaire comes and, you know, gives you money for joy. That wasn't a shrewd negotiation.
It was the first offer, and he blinked.
Money and spin it, and even just like having a plan and sharing that plan. That's shrewd negotiations, because then we're all in it together. So the more that they've distanced themselves from the fan base through how they work and all that, they've caused this separation. They put up that wall. And so now when it's starting to go under, well, guess what? We're looking at you, because everything that we've tried to share with you, everything that we've tried to do it so we're all in this thing together, that we are all in, it didn't fucking work. Because you are in and we are out, just like the Green Brigade is out, right?
We're all in. Well, breaking news. The Green Brigade are back in.
We're all in.
I know, that was typical. You ended up, Liam, there was really powerful stuff that you were saying there, mate. I was nodding along, and loads of different angles. I think that comes a lot from experience in life as well. You could tell where you're coming from. You're looking at it from a different perspective, and it's one that's spot on. Brandon, what potential revenue have you lost? Not just what you've stocked up and sitting on top of that big cash pile and going, look how great we've been for Celtic. Fuck off. We've had players in there with higher values that you've let go for less that would have made that pile higher. We've had a multitude of missed Champions League opportunities that would have, again, made that pile of money way higher that you sit upon. There's loads more missed than what has been gained. There's a lot of people in the live chat very excited at the return of the Green Brigade. I just want someone to give me a wee bit of clarification where they found the story. I wasn't being rude, but I was frantically searching through Twitter whilst you were talking, Liam, to try and find the source. So if someone could come in, let us know how they know this. But there's loads of people now saying that the Green Brigade are indeed back. Connor, straight to you for a reaction to that. To me, I think it's sensible, to say the least. I think it's positive for the match day atmosphere. And also, though, more than anything, interested. And the reason I say interested is because what sort of noise will they make? What sort of agreements have they made to come back? Because there's the other thing, just like fan media, you can't have them compromised I hope they've just came back, because we're entitled to come back to the ground. We bought a ticket in advance. Get them in and let's hear their voice, and let's hope this is not going to ever look like Green Brigade light.
No, I mean, if it's true, then it could basically be like a new fucking signing, essentially, to, spur the team on, because God knows we've missed any kind of vibes or reaction and noise, whether it be good or bad. So I hope that, when they do come back, whether it's this weekend or the Rangers game, that that they come and they show us why they've been missed. I don't think they'll go. They'll be very quiet upon entry back into Celtic Park. I really think that it shows how kind of important it is, really, that some people were very, very happy that they got the bullet, essentially, and they had to leave and stuff because of their own personal opinions, because of what they've done. But you never know what you've got until it's gone, and I think that's been pretty evident over the past couple of weeks with the the atmosphere in terms of Celtic Park. It's been absolutely dire, and you've got fansy, clubs like Hibs having a pop at your atmosphere. I mean, fuck me, they can't even sell out their stadium, and you're lucky if they're strung out, sitting in the stands to try and make an atmosphere. But I think it'll be good, because the players definitely need a bit of encouragement in the stands if it's not
Saturday,
coming from.
there's what we're reading, Connor. Sorry to cut you off there, mate. Just come straight back in. But Saturday is the rumours that are flying about that the Green Brigade will be back.
Well, thank fuck, because I don't think it'd be. I'm saying it would be a good thing, but you can't really bring them in the game against Rangers. I mean, that would cause a bit of a stramash, considering you having to be notified them a couple of days before to come in, and then whoever else, councils, police, and all that would need to be informed and stuff like that. So give them a week to come back in and see them, hopefully spur them on. I mean, I think we'll have to say, and I know that they played, was it last night, and they were beating Aberdeen up until Aberdeen eventually turned it around about. I think that they're just two very, very poor sides. In all honesty, I don't think Aberdeen are great, despite the fact they got to a League Cup final, and we've turned them over this season, and we've not been good at all. And Livingston, I think, just kind of got lucky, but then they eventually got beat. So I'm happy that we're playing Livingston in a sense, because if it was a Motherwell, a Hibs, a St Johnstone, anybody else, I think we'd all be, or a Ross County, would all be very nervous about it. I think the fact that the Green Brigade are back gives us a boost of confidence. I think that the fact we're playing against Livingston, who we know for a fact, even we're that bad now that we look quite vulnerable, but I don't even think they're that good that they could even do anything against us on the count that they would be relying on set pieces. And we know for a fact they're not even going to journey up into that area of the park. Let's be honest, what we're going to get from them. So it'll more than likely just be up to us to try and break them down in terms of that. I mean, I think that's why Brendan Rodgers must be away to a gig tonight. He must be celebrating the Green Brigade coming back, because my missus works in the gig industry, and she's at a show tonight, doing the ticket and stuff like that, and working at the venue for that. Callum Beattie, the singer, and Brendan Rodgers is on the guest list tonight. So she's like, what should I do? I'm like, tell him to get his fucking finger at his arse. She's like, she'd ask him for a picture, but no, she'd be putting him in the fucking stones because he what he's been doing. Now, either human beings and all the rest of it, but it kind of angers me a wee bit. Like, you're 2 days away from a must-win game, against stubborn opposition in Livingston, who we have a bit of a bogey. They're a bit of a bogey team for us in general, and he's away at a gig, 2 nights before. That is if he actually goes.
Listen, he's got personal life comes in there, mate. Like, this is bullshit.
I know,
bullshit.
But
I hate this 24/7 crap. No manager's ever done it. This bullshit.
I know they've not done it, but I mean, let's be honest. You've got a Muslim game in 2 days. He should be sitting in his fucking house drawing up formations and stuff like that. His job's
Oh, so he's
possibly
to
be on
work
the line.
24/7 then? He has to work 24/7.
He's getting paid so handsomely for it. I'm not trying to have an argument about it, but the
It's
fact
bullshit, Connor. It's a bullshit myth that doesn't exist. I don't know why folk go down that road. So he's been up 7 o'clock this morning, probably at Celtic Park, but you want him still to be working 12 and a half hours later, and you ain't going to beat the peak of his powers doing that. No downtime allowed because Celtic lost at the weekend. I just disagree with that, but no matter who the manager is, by the way.
Working class people are working 16, 17 hour shifts, nurses and all the rest of it. They're getting paid an absolute pittance. He's a fucking manager at a football club getting paid ridiculous amounts of money, whose job is possibly on the line. He should be doing that morning and the night.
Listen, that's just nonsense. That's not what you sign up for. It's an overpaid job. It's got nothing to do with nurses, nothing to do with working class people. When you're in football and you've managed at the top level, you're in a privileged position, whether we like it or not. No one is expected, mate. No one to be working and not have any downtime. Going to a gig or not, it'll be tickets that were booked ages ago. If you remember, Bustalgia was out plenty as well. Obviously, he was winning things, but was he always winning at the start? He was still seen out for lunch with Gio. Oh, what's he doing there? He should be doing tactics against Gio. It's just, see, stuff like that is where we get, that's where it goes from the realistic to the ridiculous. Not pulling you up in a bad way, mate. That's just nonsense to think he can't, at 7:30, 8 o'clock, go to a concert in his downtime.
Maybe I'm wrong. Fair enough. Look,
it's just two different sides to it, mate. I think it's passion for your point of view.
I would like. Let's be honest. If we'd won last week, or if we were in the League Cup final a couple of nights ago and won, you wouldn't be gonna fuck. But I think the microscope kind of comes out and the knives kind of come out when things are looking the way they are, and that's maybe where I'm coming from. And you know what? Like, I apologise for saying it, but
no, you don't need to apologise.
No,
mate.
I think it's just right in my opinion, you know, it's sometimes quite hard to see them as human beings sometimes, especially because you don't know what personal things can be going on affecting them on the pitch for their players, blah blah blah. However, it's just, I think that's just what it is. I think it's just the results. Have kind of been.
Of course it is, mate. Listen, I get overpaid for my job. I'm pretty sure I'm closer to the sack than Brendan Rodgers, and I clocked off at 4 o'clock today. and I've got work tomorrow. So trust me, like, there's a lot. I'm not sitting here and going, better get that fucking laptop back open. You know what I mean? And trust me, Rodgers has probably earned his wages way more than I have, albeit he does get paid a hell of a lot more than me. But listen, I think going to a wee gig on a Thursday night, Christmas time, good on him. Hope he enjoys it. I hope he enjoys it. Cool daddy sacked the bus. Mate, it's inevitable. It's in the post, trust me. I'll be at the penthouse in no time. Right, okay. Liam, your thoughts if the Green Brigade come back? Do you think it's a positive in the long run? Are they a divisive group that once you've went as far as what they have, would it have made life easier just to have phased it out, as it were? You've came so far now. Or do you think that injection of life, that injection of atmosphere is so badly needed in the here and now? And finally, does it compromise at all their viewpoints if there has been a deal struck for them to return? Or has it just been, you've done your time, and you metaphorically, and you come back and it's as you were? You wonder if there is any sort of deals being made. I would certainly hope not, by the way. I'm just speculating and creating conversation, a bit mischievously, may I add.
Well, what do you think? I mean, it depends what the agreement is. Well, I say I'd like to see them come back just exactly the way they were. I mean, get rid of all the breaking in doors or whatever was commented on before about that. I mean, the whole thing with the Green Brigade is it's collective punishment. I think that's the thing that's shocking to me as someone that's so far away from it. Is like, that would be so litigious over here if you were to do something. If you're to ban an entire section because of maybe a dozen people's behaviour, fuck, they'd be lawyering up like fuck over here. And I don't understand how you can get away with collective punishment, on a group of people that because of the actions of a few within that. So, especially when you organise the seats, you know where everybody's sitting in that. But I don't know that the Green Brigade. Yeah, I'd like to see them come back here. I want to see a Palestinian flag that, we have we have empathy for the people of Gaza. We always have been. So I don't think that should be a deal breaker and go away because they say that wasn't. So yeah, keep that going. Honestly, I hope they show up with a giant sack the board banner because, you know, that's
what you want. You want to see a bit of Sex Pistols vibe off them, don't you?
what's that?
You want to see a bit of a Sex Pistols vibe off them, you know?
Mate, I want to see a member of the Green Brigade in the VR room. You know, like fucking, that's what it says, reach for the sky. You know, see what we can get. You know?
Well, this is it. It's not just. There was a great quote. I think me and you have discussed this in one of the Bustalgia years, maybe a couple of years ago now. And I remember saying, I was like, and I'm sure it was on a show with you. I said, don't reach for the stars. Give it if you get up there, give it a fucking love bite. Do you know what I mean? Don't just reach for the stars. Give it a fucking love bite. You know, like, go all out. And I just don't think Celtic are very much capable of that. But by all means, get the Green Brigade back in. Only gets us back to where we once were, by the way. This isn't a win. Like, it's just, we drop off a level and we get us back to that level. There's no progress getting made here. This is just us striving for Celtic to get back to what it's been. It's bizarre, Connor, isn't it?
Aye, it is very, you know, as how we're even in this position in the first place, kind of, you know, is beggars belief. You know, our most vocal support, who, by the way, the club and the board and that are, you know, they're the first ones to be like, oh, brilliant effort today by the support. Thank you for all, you know, all your singing and your they'll fucking ship merchandise with some of the tifos and that, with some of the more PG ones that they've had, you know, and put pictures out there, and I'm setting the flares and that off. But you know, as soon as you know they do something like this, like, how dare you? They, you know, they're clutching at their pearls, and they're like, oh, how dare you be doing that? That's not what we want to see. You're like, you can't have it one way and then have it the other. You know, it's either one or the other. You can't pick and choose when you want to do it. But you know, they like to think they can do what they want. I mean, let's be honest. It's long overdue. This shit should have been sorted during the international break. In all honesty, you know, we had a week. Was it a week or 2 weeks?
I agree with that.
Spare. This should have
That
been
was the
squashed before.
Yep.
I'll tell you this right now: if they were in after the international break, we wouldn't currently be sitting in this position we are in now. I think we'd have at least an extra couple of points on the board. We wouldn't, you know, be sitting, you know, praying to God that Rangers don't win their game in hand and we have to beat them, you know, in the 30th. We'd be sitting here rubbing our hands together saying, aye, well, you just won a League Cup, but, you know, we're still 6-7 points clear and we'll probably go further clear in the 30th of December. But now,
No, let me come in on that, Connor. I'm going to put that to Liam. That's a brilliant point you've just raised there. And I wonder if that's shared. So, Liam, Connor's kind of saying there, he thinks the GB's influence is that great that he does think the league results would have been dramatically different. We're not talking about defeats. Connor thinks the league gap would have either remained the same or still been healthy, regardless whether, you know, obviously they could still win the League Cup if they wanted, but they wouldn't have had the opportunity to go top. Is that what we're talking about? Is this supporters group or this section having that much of a seismic difference? It can influence results. I'm intrigued by that. I really don't know the answer, but I am intrigued.
I think it does in a way, but it's more consciously than it is. I think when the Green Brigade wasn't there, the fact, it's not that they weren't there, it's the fact that the club had actually removed somebody from their seats, and that created a whole sort of toxic tension within the stands, and that's the energy that the fans, like, we can play Rangers, you don't need the Green Brigade for Rangers. The fans, we know how to support our team against Rangers. We've been doing it for years, well before the Green Brigade and their dads and their uncles and all that as well too. And so we've always known to do that. That wouldn't be a problem. But the games against Hearts and all that, we don't need them to get the team up. But the fact that the club are doing something specifically to punish them, and they're punishing part of our crowd, and you might not agree with the Green Brigade, or you might just agree with bits of the Green Brigade. But the fact is that you're going to find a point of empathy within them that you can relate to far more than you can relate to a board punishing a group of supporters by banning them from the game, the ones they love. So I think the effect it's had on the park is that it is what goes around the sort of like consciousness of the entire stadium. so that mood, that overall thing. I mean, I spoke to Phil after the game the other day, and he was saying he never felt so much, he never felt the stadium so toxic, that it was tense. And I'm sure
that was the exact words. You're right.
So it has had an effect, because it's the overall effect. It's not just them being missing, that we need just that wee pocket. It's all the energy and all the reasons why they were banned and all that. And that's what creates the negativeness. And I think that's what spills onto the park. And also, there's a whole, and it just goes back to, there's players in the park that are playing that shouldn't be playing. So you talked about a merit-based system, meritocracy. And I don't think we're getting that right now. Greg Taylor gets a game because he's the only one that identifies as a left back. We're in 2023 where you can identify as a cat at school if you want, and we can't even find a guy out of 32 players that can identify as a left back. Anyway.
Well, it's interesting because I think there's a lot of relevance to the point you're making, obviously based on they've not been there, results have been crap, they come back. I can already feel there's an upsurge in optimism in a lot of people in the chat at their return. And I think that'll be mirrored on social medias, as I always say. Twitter's the limit, as I can go to. But
Russell, see if they come back and it's all subservient,
yes,
all that, then it looks like punishment works. And it looks like, see,
they've got to come back the way they were. Is that what you're saying?
100%. They have to
I
come
agree
back.
with that.
No apologies, nothing.
They can't do it, Rogers. It's basically
at
that,
the end of the
isn't it?
day, we didn't want them coming back as fucking eunuchs. We want them coming back,
No.
with their fucking balls swinging and having a bit of a go-getter attitude. You know what I mean?
It's true though. I mean, you look at they can't come back and go with the charm offensive. See if the Green Brigade's banner says, "I'll see you in May." I swear to fuck, man, I'm turning the fucking telly off.
It was saying we're all in. We're all in.
It'll be a big picture. It'll be, see, instead of the pictures of Peter Lawwell with the stop sign through it and the cross, it'll just be instead a big love heart. That's what it'll probably be.
Get low on it. We love you.
I love you, Peter. Peter, immortalize this man. And build him a statue. I mean, there's not, and among the Sundays, you can imagine them being like that. So it will be interesting to see how it plays out. But here's the flip side as well. West play devil's advocate corner, right? And say, Celtic have won the last few games. The gap at the top remains the same. The Green Brigade are coming back and are going to come back the exact same as they were. The exact same approach. I think we'd be saying, I know this sounds ridiculous, but we'd be going, unnecessary distraction. It's funny how the results dictate everything, isn't it?
Aye. Hindsight is 2020. So I think it's, parallel universes and stuff. So I think it's, I'm not saying it's irrelevant, but what I will say is that
it's not the case. That's just a hypothetical question. That was all.
I know. We now know exactly. Like anybody who was blinded before, anybody who was, a relative happy clapper, and Michael Nicholson, a legend, and all that shit. Their eyes have been opened. Whether I think all this thing has done is what the ones who are looking away, closing their eyes shut to all the shenanigans that these fuckers get up to in the boardroom. I think they've had their, it's from that thing, A Clockwork Orange, have had themselves putting that fucking vice. Their eyes have been open to see what has what's going on, and what this club has been run like, and showing these charlatans for who they are. And yet, as I'm really looking forward to it. I'm more. That's just how things are. Then I'm more looking forward to seeing the Green Brigade and what they do on Saturday, as opposed to the fucking team. That's mental. That's crazy. So, it's really an interesting. I'm really interested to see what the dynamic is going to be, because people had their opinions of the Green Brigade and stuff before the results turned bad. Now I feel like a lot of people are, doing a 180, and they're, whether they weren't on their side before, whether it's an uneasy alliance, or the enemy, my enemy is my friend, whatever you want to call it. I feel like the entire stadium will be in unison for once, and their collective hatred for the board. And you know, it's really going to be quite.
But let's have a think then. Let's have a think. Why would they bring them back, Liam, if they know it's going to be toxic towards them?
Well,
Because
it's convenient.
we know.
Recently,
Well,
it's
we
convenient.
know.
We've last couple of games we've lost. They've just won a League Cup, and we booed Santa off the park. And Rangers are bringing
But
Santa out. They're aiming stuff at us, and we know how reactionary they are. It happened before.
But the point I was going to make was actually that, and I know what you're saying there, to be fair, but the point I was making was a bit different. When there was a bit of aggro, Liam, and a bit of sort of pointing, shouting, direction of travel of not abuse, strong opinion that was negative towards them just at the weekend there. People were huckled out for that. Why would they then want more discerning voices or inevitable discerning voices that are coming in? Do you know what I mean? So that's where I get a wee bit confused in this agreement. I'm glad, by the way, to be abundantly clear, I'm glad they're back in. But it's got to be the real version. What's in this for the board, Liam? When you look at how they reacted just a few days ago to one or two discerning voices just pointing at them. Bizarre.
I think it probably more litigious than anything else. It's when they've got a lawyer or something on side. It's when actually you're opening yourself up to all sorts of legal recrimination at this part, because what you're doing is probably not, as I said before, it's that collective punishment. You can't do that. I mean, so would this stand up in scrutiny if those people were to individually challenge and take that to court? Well, you probably could, especially if you're not proven to be doing anything, that you weren't there, or you weren't part of that protest, and whatever. What could they say? Like putting up a Palestinian flag's illegal, or putting up a banner that questions the authority or the judgment of someone is illegal? No, that's not going to. So I think they've probably been told in a way that said, all right, the advice they've been given legally is probably like, yeah, you might need to get these people back in. And I think they'll be looking to deal with it in other ways that they can, because no, they won't let this go, because we're not all in this together. It's them and it's us, and they've made it, they've made us acutely aware, as we used to say on the bus.
I love it.
There is them and there is us. And
so, Liam, see, just what you quickly said there, very quickly, just to nip it whilst I remember you saying it. I'll come straight back to you. You said with the Palestinian flags. Now, I may be mistaken. Keir Starmer today, we're not going down a political line here. It's just something I've seen on Twitter, right? Just on Twitter. He said today he was calling for a ceasefire. You wonder if they see these sort of messages tempering, and suddenly the Palestinian flag waving doesn't become as offensive as what it was a month ago in their mind's eyes. Not mine or whatever. But when you think about it, are they indeed acutely aware of how the political landscape is shifting and changing? And at all times, Celtic, rather than being a focal point for people to really value for their honesty, their truth, and their position of being right in these places, or the right side of history, they try to catch in the coattails of where's the mainstream media going? Where's the place that you can look good in the eye of the beholder, i.e. sponsors, brands, etc. And funnily enough, today I seen it. I seen Keir Starmer calling for a ceasefire. Suddenly they're back in. Now I thought it was correlated the first time around. The ban came after the flags. Suddenly they're back in. It's just another coincidence for you. Throw it in the mix. I'm not saying it's the real reason, but throw it in the mix, because I think the viewpoint of the MSM is now beginning to shift as the evidence mounts up and up and up against what's happening in Gaza.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to believe that some of these morals and values could so polarizingly shift, in a month's time. And that's the same way the board's view of the Green Brigade and Starmer's version of ceasefires in Gaza. You go from, damn it, these people are wrong, to, all right, let's see how it works. Well, that only means because you've been cajoled or maneuvered into that sort of place. It didn't happen because you arrived there yourself. I mean, I've looked at the whole Green Brigade thing from a distance. I've never really sat next to him in a park. I've not been with him at away games and all that. And so I've formed my opinion on just what I've heard on this podcast and people like Mark and Phil and David yourself and all that go to the games. And then also opinions, like, like listen to Cynic when they had a guy for the Green Brigade on and hearing their opinions. And so, yeah, my opinions of them has shifted over time. The others, the reason they're doing it, I don't think they've had any sort of enlightenment at all. I think the circumstances have sort of arise themselves that is in their best interest for them that they let the Green Brigade back in. This is nothing to do with their personal things. That, all right, I think we've been harsh here. I don't think they have that introspection in their own performances and their own, calls and that would actually be apparent.
No, I think that's fair as well. It's very, very interesting, lads, what's going to be happening this weekend. Before we get to it, I know, are you doing the Friday feeling tomorrow, Liam? Are you being called up by Phil? Brilliant. Connor, are you on it? Are you off? I'll get a prediction off you anyway. Fuck it, you're lively, mate. I'm very, very interested to see what your prediction for Saturday's game is going to be based on the combination of Celtic on the back of 2 defeats and the Green Brigade though back at Celtic Park.
I'll probably not be on tomorrow. I think me and the missus are going for a bite to eat. But in terms of Saturday, I think having the Green Brigade back is really going to spur the players on. I think to be fair, I think it's going to be the same in terms of the team selection. I think Brendan will just put the names at a tombola, especially for certain positions, and be like, right, there you go. It'll not be Mikey Johnson will be up the ring. It'll be up the wing on Saturday. It'll be probably Michael Nicholson. Do you know what I mean? Lacing up his boots to try and come on for some reason. But in terms of the result, I could actually see us hammering Livingston. I think they're destined to go down. Prop master David Martindale was coming out with his usual spiel about how they can't spend money, blah blah blah. I think that's the finally the season where they're going to go down. And me personally, I want to hammer one of the nails into their coffin so badly because I fucking hate that club with every fibre of my being. And I think that we'll do that with a rousing 6-0 victory on Saturday.
It'll be the second 6-0 of the season, Liam. We won't get a prediction of you. I'll save that for the Friday feeling with Phil. In my opinion, I think Connor's the 6-0 will be a bit ambitious, but I think he's right to the extent that I think we'll thrash them. And I think again, we're on this tightrope of everything's rosy in the garden to everything's a disaster. And you want to keep at a board, but you want things to be better in the short term. You want the long term to be better, but if it's sound in the short term, it means they won't change anything long term. We are lost right now, stuck on a tightrope of demanding trophies, wanting things in the long. I'll just shut up. You get the point. Anyway, that has been a brilliant T.N.F. Thanks so much to you two for coming on. Really, really appreciate it. Remember as well, there was an offer made. It's the 21st now. Nobody's came forward. My email is crookedarm@ymail.com or drop me a message on Twitter. It's easier that way. But yes, we were more than happy to pay for someone's Christmas dinner this week. Obviously, it's Monday, on Christmas Day. But we're happy to get the voucher over to you tonight if needed. And that will be £100 M&S voucher. And you can go get a proper Christmas dinner on the bus, someone who's needing it. Drop us a wee message. You can do it for someone anonymously. We don't care about that. I'd be more than happy to get it over there and the bus be able to get just that good vibe, that Christmas vibe that we'll look for. That would be ours. We'd be doing something like that. So if you can think of anyone or if it's you, feel free to just drop us a wee private DM. There's only one I can afford to dish out, but I'm more than happy to do that. All right. Thoroughly enjoyed the show tonight, the lads. As always, keep an eye on this board. Good night.
Good night.